you're going to be asked to take your knowledge about conversions and apply it together all at once. So you're going to be given a chart, and you're going to need to take the one thing they give you and give it to you in all of the other forms. So we're going to have 3 examples. So if we have 0.75 as a decimal, then we can go to percent next. And you're never going to know, it's not going to be you follow the same order every time, because it's going to depend on what they give you for what you want to do next. So to change a decimal to percent, we move our decimal place 2 times to the right. So 1, 2 would give me 75%. And knowing that percent to a fraction, especially over 100, means you write it over 100, that's my next logical step to take. So I would have 75 over 100. And then I can go ahead and reduce it. 5 is a common factor, so I'm going to write it in here and show my steps for how I've reduced. 5 is a common factor, however, there's another common factor that's larger. If you know your quarters, this is what's going to help you, because you have 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, and then $1, and we can use that knowledge to help us. So I can pull out 25 in each. And 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So that's 3/4 as a reduced fraction. Now the only thing left for this one is to turn it into scientific notation. You need to remember that decimal is the same thing as our standard form. So we need our first factor, don't forget, to be between 1.0 and 9.9. And we're going to take that and multiply by 10 to some power. So I need my first one to be between 1.0 and 9.9, so it's not currently how we want it. So I can show some work off to the side, so 0.75. I'm going to want to move it between the 7 and the 5. That way my first factor would be 7.5 and would fit in with what I'm doing. So 7.5 times 10. Well, let's see, I only had to move it once, but it was a smaller number going to that, so it's actually to a -1. So 7.5 times 10 to the -1 would fit that. So our next one gives it to us where it is a percent. So my logical thing is going to go ahead, well, if I know percent as a fraction, it means you put it over 100. So let's go ahead and go there. 20 over 100. Now you could have picked to go to the decimal next, and that's okay. You don't have to do it in the same order. For this one, you could either go decimal or fraction. I just went to fraction first, because now I can go ahead and take care of reducing it. So 20 over 100. Well, I know that 20 will go into both of them evenly. 20 divided by 20 is 1. 100 divided by 20 is 5. So that reduced is 1/5. Now let's go ahead and take it as a decimal. So we would have 20%, drop the percent sign, move decimal 2 places to the left. Well, I don't have a decimal. That means that I can add it at the very end behind everything, so it doesn't change my number. So I can now move it once, twice, and I have 0.2. And now I need to get it into scientific notation. Let's not forget that the first factor has to be between 1.0 and 9.9. So let's take the number 0.2, and let's see, if I move it over 1 time, my first factor would be 2, which does fit in there. I really want to write it as 2.0 because you do want to see a decimal, times 10, went small to large, so 10 to the -1. And now our last example, we have 2 and 10 over 100. So I'm going to go ahead and take it as a decimal, because you write it, when you have a decimal and you want to write it into a fraction, you write what you say. So that is 2 and 10 100ths. So I have 2 because it's in the 100ths, that's my tenths. This is my hundredths. Sorry, I apologize. Ignore that part. You would actually want to go ahead and simplify, because that would be easier, because you're going to see this. So we still have 2. 10 and 100, they have a common factor of 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1, and 100 divided by 10 is 10. And that's why it actually needs to be 2.1. I could have had 2.10 because that would be 10 100ths, but let's take it from the reduced form. So 2n 1/10. This is the tenths. Don't forget that when you have them, this is our ones, our tenths, our hundredths, our thousandths. Okay, so let's go ahead and take it to a percent. Percent means we look at it what it was in decimal, and we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So 1, 2, that is an understood 0, because no value is there, and I add on the percent sign. Okay, and now I need to put it into scientific notation. First factor has to be between 1.0 and 9.9. Well, it already is. So I didn't have to move my decimal at all. To show I didn't move my decimal, it's times 10 to the 0. Times 10 to the 0 is 1. And isn't 2.1 times 1 2.1? Yes, and that's how you can get it correct. So again, with your chart, you're not going to have a standard way to say, oh, well, I'm going to do the fraction, then the decimal, then the percent, then scientific notation. It depends on what they give you as to where you should want to work first.